Okay, guys, we're gonna talk about Nilou today. So Nilou is a 5-star Hydro Sword character, and firstly, her attack nothing too special, so just gonna skip it. Her key concept is her elemental skill, and so basically by pressing E, she will enter a form, and this form allows her to uh, this form deals max HP hydro damage, and she can choose ending this form by using normal attack or just pressing E. So normal attack for sword dance, E for wiring stabs. So if he ends this form by normal attack, she will gain a hydro infusion, and and this buff lasts for 8 seconds, and he will be dealing hydro damage based on his max HP for the rest of the 8 seconds, or he can just use E to finish this stance, and this will create a water ring around her. No further damage, but this allows her to keep on giving the monster hydro stats. So the CD for the skill is 18 seconds. It's pretty long, and basically she does have a DPS time gap about 7 to 8 seconds, and the scaling for E isn't that crazy. Like even at level 12, each hit is about 10 max HP damage. And if we think about Yelan, like each bolt of her elemental of her elemental skill deals about 6 to 7 max HP, and she fires 3 bolts at the same time for every seconds. So we can see her scaling for her E is definitely not high. Let's look at her elementals burst. Nothing too special. So basically he deals a AoE damage based on her max HP, and this will further this will burst again lately. The damage the scaling for it is pretty high. However, the skill is separated into 2 damage, so you can vaporize it 2 times, but it requires a pyro. You need to use a pyro character after or maybe Kazuha's elemental burst can apply the pyro elements to it. But anyway, definitely a cool skill for you for burst player to mess around with, because the skill is pretty high. I mean, so I think I will be able to hit up to 1 million for each part of this damage, even with the lesser part of this damage. 18 seconds of cooldown, pretty long. 70 energy cost, pretty high. So this is just a play. This is just a fun animals of burst for Nilou, to be honest. But yeah, definitely lots of videos can be made. And passive, so her passive is kind of special. So if all your characters in your teams are Danjo or Hydro, after he finishes her dance, this will grant the whole team a buff that increases 100 EM, and this will change this will she then will convert all the Danjo cores into a bountiful course. This bountiful course reacts faster, and there's a larger area. The AoE area is larger. The damage wouldn't get increased, but it's basically a bigger AoE area and faster Dendro core. And her her second passive serves for the first passive. So every 1,000 HP above 30,000, you can easily stack Nilou's HP up to above 70,000 perhaps, because her weapon gives HP and her base HP is pretty high. So for every 1,000 HP above 30,000 gives Nilou an extra 9% damage to this bountiful core. For example, if you have 40,000 max HP for Nilou, the bountiful course damage would be increased by 90%. Like if you have like 70,000 HP for Nilou, this will increase by 360%. So like this is super crazy. So this is why you want to build max HP on Nilou. Not only because her E and her Q is based on max HP, but more important, like her passive is based on max HP as well. And it's really easy for you to build 70,000 HP on Nilou because yeah, you can just build pure HP on her. And let's look at her stats. So 15,000 HP at max level, really high, really high. I think this is the highest for right now, and she gives bonus HP. So definitely really simple to build her to 70,000, especially when you have Yelan like two Hydro team and your Yelan like probably at C6, and this will give her hell loads of HP. Okay, so her attack is not important. So we're not going to talk about her attack. And the Constellation, her Constellation is kind of interesting because so the first Constellation is like increase the damage of her E by a little, and increase the duration of like the Aqua Rain by 6 seconds. So good enough, but not something super good. Her second ability is super good. So after like a character, so after like you deal hydro damage to opponent, uh, the resistance, like the hydro resistance, will be decreased just by 35% by 10 seconds. Like 35 is a crazy number. And Dandro resistance will be also like decreased by 35 if a boom reaction triggers to the opponent. However, like this is not something like really universal because like in order to trigger this constellation, like you need to have a hydro plus only hydro and dendro team, so you cannot have a burst like a vaporize team and have using this talent. So for a bloom team like a pure hydro and dendro team, this is super good because decrease 35% resistance. Both resistance by 35 is crazy good, but for any other team, this is totally useless because it cannot trigger. So C4, she will restore some of the uh, mm, elemental energy, like 15, pretty nice. And the damage will be increased. Her her Q damage will increase by 50%. This is pretty sweet because her damage, her Q damage is really high, and if you increase it by 50%, yeah, I can do hell loads of like a huge amount of burst damage on her Q if vaporized. Her C6 is super good, but it's kind of like strange for Nilou because like people want to build Nilou want to build EM on HP on Nilou, and this gives crit rate and crit damage. So for like a lower, like probably a C2 or below Nilou, you probably like want to build EM and HP on Nilou, like HP first and then EM. And for C6 Nilou, you probably want to build like crit rate, crit damage, and HP on her. So this is what I think about Nilou because her C6 give a hell loads of crit rate and crit damage at the same time. So basically, you can think as like 30 at 60 free crit rate and free crit damage, and there's no like you don't need to pay any like like there's like no any restriction to it. It just gives you this like so basically you just need to have like 50,000 HP to have this buff. Wow, this is like super good, but not super good like, but it's kind of like strange for Nilou because you want to build like because Nilou wants to build EM and like having the C6 will probably make you want to build her in a old classic way. But anyway, this is my rating for Nilou. As a 5-star sender, so roll definitely a main DPS, like probably a sub DPS if you're using if she is C6 and you want to use her burst more than her E. Uh, damage as C0 not really high, 75 out of 100. Damage as C6 pretty high, 88 out of 100. But this is at C6. Your team needs to be well built. Support ability at 60. It's the support ability. One is like the EM part, which provides EM for the whole team, but this is only like effective in the pure Dendro and Hydro team. And of course, like the ability to give enemy water like is something like is really supportive to the team. So this is like something I can consider as supportability as well. C6, 86 out of 100 because of C2. C2 is a super good supportability for Dendro and Hydro team. Team adaptability, like 66. Sad news is like Nahida doesn't works really well with Nina. Like when I say not really well, isn't like she doesn't work well with Nina, but she works better with Sino instead of Nina. Like you probably want to put a Sino. You want to put like a Electro and a Pyro character in Nahida team, no matter if she is C6 or C0, because her Q requires any like other elements in the team. But I would be talking about Nahida next time. But Nahida isn't like a support design for Nino. This is why I predicted wrong. I'm sorry for that, but she just works better with Sino, to be honest. But you can put her with Nino. She is fine with Nino, but she just works better with Sino. Constellation improvement 87 definitely. Constellation increased her damage by a lot and support ability by a lot. Key Constellation C2 and C6. C2 and C6 are the rash decrease buff and the crit rate and crit damage. Super crazy. And overall rating 80 of 100. Like, Nina is not someone you must have, but she is not crazy good, but she is good enough. She will be probably like yeah, I think somewhere around Sino level. Like she is similar to Sino's rating, but Sino might be better after Nihida comes out. And her weapon, just don't get this weapon unless you're having Nilou, because this weapon for Nilou is super good, but for anyone else is not really good. Okay, this is I go for today. Oh, but her weapon can be given to Bennett if you have like a if you have because you have a R5 like R5 weapon, because for us like Will players, Bennett like she doesn't have a really good weapon right now, but this weapon increases the EM for the whole team, so maybe Bennett can use this weapon. Yeah. So probably can increase 100 to 200 each EM for the whole team, but this is only for Will's players consideration. Okay, this is all I got for today. Thank you for watching. See you guys next time. Bye.